What's up? Honorman26 here. I'm going to give you my ROH catch-up video in a sense. I'm reviewing every show from Allied Forces, well, skipping over Survival of the Fittest and Fate of an Angel, until the recent ones of Champions versus All-Stars and Only the Strong Survive. So, yeah, just catching up on all the ones I haven't reviewed yet, and all the ones all the ones I've seen. Alright, let's get to it. Allied Forces. Because the last show I remember reviewing actually was Manhattan Mayhem and then Final Battle, and I also reviewed Global Honor. But like a legit DVD review, it's been since Tag Wars 2010, so that's a long time. So let's get right into it. Hopefully I keep everything short and sweet. You will notice every show but Champions vs. All Stars and Only the Strong Survive do not have show overall scores for them because I didn't watch the overall show. I just watched because I was behind on everything. Just watched what I found interesting. Yeah, alright. Alright, first is ROH Allied Forces. First match that I watched was Andy Ridge versus Colt Cabana. The first match in the trial series. It was good. I actually really liked it. I really liked how they were doing the trial series with the first match. You know, putting him in there with a guy who likes to have fun in Cabana. You know, kind of testing him and seeing if he's serious. I really did like that in this match. Cabana looked very good, and Ridge did get a lot of offense in. You know, and Ridge did look very good here, and you know, it made me want to see more. So that was good. Then next we got is Kevin Steen and Steve Corino versus Cole and O'Reilly. Their first match together in Ring of Honor, which was very, very impressive. You know, Corino was gold in this match as well. Steen did his thing. Then O'Reilly and Cole just brought it. You know, it showed why, you know, they got Ring of Honor contracts, which was really, really cool. So 3.5. Then we got to Jay Briscoe versus Rhett Titus. This was definitely you know, one of the best singles matches from Rhett Titus in Ring of Honor, if not his best. Really, really fun. Jay Briscoe looked very, very good here, and you know, just gave Rhett Titus a good match, which is, you know, saying a lot. So, and Rhett Titus has improved vastly, so it's not like impossible to get a good singles match with him anymore. You know, so he looks very good here instead of Briscoe. So 3.25. Then we got to the main event of Kings of Wrestling versus Davey Richards and Christopher Daniels for the ROH World Tag Team titles. Great match, you know, set up the next night awesomely, and you know, Kings of Wrestling looked great. Davey Richards did his thing, and then Daniels, you know, I thought Daniels was lacking a little bit here, but you know, he did, for what he was supposed to do, he did a good job. You know, he did take the fall here, so you know, I did see that coming. So it wasn't amazing, but it was definitely great. 4 stars. Then on disc 2 of the Allied Forces DVD, you get the Joe Punk Trilogy. You should buy this DVD just for this. You know, you have, you know, the first match, which is the worst one, and it's absolutely amazing. Strong 4 3/4. You know, I can't give it 5. It's not on the same level as the other two, which I gave 5. So, you know, just one of the best matches of 2000. I mean, when this match is the 3rd best Ring of Honor match of 2004. I mean, I can't think. I mean, maybe even Steel Cage Warfare beats this. Well, that was 05. Sorry. I'm trying to think of 04 matches that even come close to any of the Joe Punk matches in Ring of Honor. I mean, I can't think of any, so, you know, so, I mean, when this match is the 3rd best match a company has during a year, you know, you can tell how strong the other 2 matches are. So, Joe Punk, 1, 4 3/4 stars strong, and then Joe Punk 2, my favorite of all 3 of them. You've never seen a 60-man match where men have gone harder. You know, I like this better than the Iron Man of WrestleMania 12. You know, I like this better than, this is probably my favorite 60-minute match ever. You know, I mean, there have been others, but this might be my favorite one ever. I mean, it's close with a couple others, but definitely some All Japan matches are up there. I mean, maybe, I believe one of the Flair Steamboats went 60 minutes as well. Actually, I'm pretty sure one of them did it, but I can't remember. Sorry, off the top of my head. And then All-Star Extravaganza 2, completely awesome 5-star match. Only one of these 3 with a clean finish. So that definitely added to the match, and definitely the in-ring did not lack at all in this match. 5 stars. Can't say any more about it. All right. Now we get to ROH Richards versus Daniels. You know, this show had a little more draw to it. You know, the only 2 matches I didn't watch were like the stupid women, and you know, it was a little weird because I saw the entrance for Sojourner Bolt or whatever she is, Lady JoJo, and whoever her partner was, Nevaeh. And some guy threw water on her, but whatever. Opener was All Night Express versus Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Very good. Definitely, you know, made both teams look good. Set up a rematch for Final Battle in a great way. So definitely like this match. Lots of good moves out of both teams. Then we got Trial Series match number 2, Andy Ridge versus Ricky Reyes. I don't really like Ricky Reyes, so I didn't like this match as much as I did the Colt Cabana Andy Ridge match. But Andy Ridge did look good for what he was doing, and then because Reyes, I mean, he is an ROH veteran, but this is he felt out of place here because he's not on the roster and hasn't been since 2006 in a regular form or fashion. He's had 4 matches or 5 matches in Ring of Honor since then, so 2.5 stars. Then we got Kevin Steen and Homicide, one of Homicide's best matches since coming back from TNA. A strong effort from him here. I guess just the brawling style of Kevin Steen just worked with him really well, and I really liked it. 3.25. Then we got to the Kings of Wrestling versus J. Mark Briscoe. Definitely a really good match here. I mean, you've already seen everything these two tag teams can kind of do together, so I really didn't expect too much out of it, and we really didn't get what an amazing match from these two like we've seen at the Big Bang and Death Before Dishonor 8, but they still put on a good match. 3.25. Then we got to the I Quit match between Steve Corino and Colt Cabana. This match was stopped from being great for the sense that, there was a little bit of an unrealistic comeback from Cabana here. I mean, he took down, Kevin Steen in a straitjacket and Steve Corino, but, at the same time, it could have been a little more built up, a little bit better in my opinion. But I still really, really liked it. 3.5. Then we got to the main event of Davey Richards versus Christopher Daniels. Wow. By far Daniels' best match since returning from TNA. Has it been a year yet? It'll be a year in May. So definitely his best match since then. Put him in the ring with Richards, give him time, and this is what happens. Awesome match. It's somewhere on my match of the year countdown. I don't know where. It's one of the weaker 4.5 matches, but it's still on there. So, and speaking of that, that video is now it's coming within the week, hopefully before I go to Atlanta. And that's actually going to be another video on my Atlanta hype preview, so look forward to both those videos. But, 4.5 stars, great, awesome match. Then I'm skipping over Survival of the Fittest and Fate of an Angel, and I never saw those shows just because they looked very skippable, and I didn't have time to watch them, so I didn't watch them. Even though I did buy Survival of the Fittest at Final Battle, I just never watched it. But I did watch the Nigel bonus disc, and if you've never seen any of those matches, go out of your way to see it. They were all great. Especially because that match with Generico is on a pretty much a one-match show. This is a good way of getting it. So, all right. And then we go to the night before Final Battle, ROH Tag Title Classic 2. I only watched 2 matches on this show, for the reason being this is kind of a one-match show, and nothing else really jumped out at me. First match was T.J. Perkins versus Kyle O'Reilly. Definitely a different type of Ring of Honor match. This is kind of if they had this match in Evolve, it would have been. This is basically the match that if these two had a match in Evolve, this is the match they would have had. Basically the exact same thing. So, and it was very, very good. So, and I really liked it. Gave Perkins a win, which I really liked, and then O'Reilly definitely looked good here as well. So 3.5, and then we got to the Tag Title Classic 2. Why it's called this DVD, The Kings of Wrestling versus the American Wolves. When the American Wolves formed in late 2008, the match I wanted to see them, if the Kings of Wrestling would reform and face them, that's the match I always wanted to see them in. And once they actually did reform and found out 2009, I'm like, when they put it off for a year, this is the match. So basically, kind of 2 years in the making for me, but realistically 1. This match did deliver an amazing match. This is better than Davey Richards versus Daniels. One of the best 2-on-2 Ring of Honor matches ever. I thought actually Strong and Aries versus the Briscoes at Unify was stronger than this, though. And I'm trying to think of other matches. This might be the second best 2-on-2 tag in Ring of Honor history, without a stipulation. Well, actually, the Kings of Wrestling Briscoes were both stronger than this, so there goes that. Never mind. But this is still an amazing match, worth going out of your way to see. This is worth the price of the DVD alone. So go and pick it up. Alright, then we get to the actual 2 shows where I watched in full. Starting off with the first 2 shows of 2011. ROH Champion versus All Stars. I would have probably actually gone to the show if it wasn't for I had a family event that weekend, and I was trying to save money for Atlanta. So those 2 things kind of factored in. Or also probably would have gone actually to this show. Opener being Christopher Daniels versus Roderick Strong. We've seen what these 2 can do. On HDNet, and then I heard they had a pretty lackluster match at Fate of an Angel too. So I really didn't expect that much out of an opener, but they gave them time and it was pretty good. So I enjoyed that. Then we got to the Bravado Brothers versus Andy Ridge and Grizzly Redwood. You know, it was very, very good for what it was. You know, giving the Bravado Brothers a match on the show and giving Andy Ridge the pin. You know, for what that was, it was pretty good. So 2 1/4. Then we got to Adam Cole versus Mike Bennett. I really liked this match. You know, I mean, I said in my Manhattan Mayhem 4 live review, what's the big deal about Mike Bennett? And if you're gonna have matches like this on a consistent basis, I will see what that big deal is. You know, and Adam Cole's a very good wrestler, so they had a good match together on a Ring of Honor, you know, undercard. I really liked it. You know, third best match of the night. Yeah, third best match of the night. All right, then we got to Homicide and Rhett Titus. I didn't expect too much out of this because Homicide's been, you know, I didn't think. Well, let me say this: Rhett Titus, I don't think is a very good opponent for Homicide because Titus is, you know, still improving and looking. And he needs someone to kind of carry him in a way, even though he has improved vastly. I don't think Homicide's that guy. Yeah, so we got that match, you know, Titus being busted open, and, you know, outside of that, this match was pretty lackluster, 2.5. Then we got to Steve Corino versus Caleb Conley out of intermission. Steve Corino's new storyline really worked into this match, so there wasn't much, I guess, in-ring in this match all that much. I mean, Conley was kind of a former, was trying to play the role of a very young Steve Corino in this match. Steve Corino was playing the veteran who's trying to right all his wrongs. So we had that here, and that was decent. So 2 1/4. Then we got to the ROH return, and I don't remember Caprice Coleman being in Ring of Honor before this, but apparently he was, like on Do or Die or something like that, in 2004. So he's back. He very entertaining guy. You know, I definitely would want to see him come in for some more appearances. Before I would sign him to a contract, I mean, I'm not sold on that yet, but I would definitely have him back for the next Richmond-Charlotte weekend, and if he looks good there, I would sign him. And then Colt Cabana, who did his usual stick and looked very good, so 3 stars, good match. Then we get to Kenny King versus Kyle O'Reilly. I really like this match. The reason being, you know, Kenny King kind of kept up with O'Reilly. You know, O'Reilly has a little bit more of a fast-paced style than King does. King's a little more methodical, and, you know, King was able to keep up with him in the sense that, you know, for the speed, and then O'Reilly also used the methodicalness, the kind of Davey Richards in-ring prowess to kind of combat King, and I really like that in this match. So 3 1/4. Then we got to the Champions versus All-Stars match of Roderick Strong, Christopher Daniels, and the Kings of Wrestling versus Davey Richards, El Generico, and the Briscoes. Just a really fun 8-man tag. It was great. Not quite on my match of the year contender list. I think this might be the 4th best match I've seen this year. I mean, you see currently 3 matches on my countdown. This wasn't as good as the 3rd best match, which is also at 4 1/4. But that was Yoshino and Pac versus Ricochet and Doi from United Philly. But this wasn't as good as that. So it's still a very fun main event. And then it was a great match as well. You know, put Briscoe over Chris Daniels, and that looked very impressive. So 4 1/4. The actual show I'm giving 7.25. Definitely a fun show, but then the stuff that comes with the American Wolves bonus disc, you know, lots of great stuff on here. So, you know, if you haven't seen any of this, it might be worth picking up the show. It actually probably is worth picking up the show because for the main event and then this stuff, the first thing you had was the American Wolves attack on Steen and Generico at the 7th anniversary show. It was a good segment. I mean, nothing more than that. I mean, it got over the fact that the Wolves are coming after Steen and Generico. Then you had the match right out of that, the tables match from ROH on HDNet. Definitely a great match here. Put over the fact that the American Wolves, you know, in the middle of their prime as a tag team, you know, in the peak of their interest, went on a tag team title run, and, you know, was awesome. I loved it. Their entire run, because they had just such great match quality, match after match after match, and you can see that here. You know, every title defense they had on this DVD was a great match. So, starting with this one, you know, won the titles. It was great, and then we had the one from Double Feature 2, the 45-minute time limit draw. Such an awesome match. You know, I hadn't seen it since I originally watched it until now, and, you know, it's just as good. You know, I cannot believe it. You know, a very stiff style worked in this match. This made Eddie Edwards look like a champ. You know, I loved it here. And then we got to Validation. This is the best match on the show. I really didn't like Validation. I did see it. I never reviewed it on this channel, but I actually did see it coming. And then, I saw this match, and this is the only bright spot on that show for me, or one of them. One of the few. This was done with the brightest spot, and look, this is an awesome, awesome match, 4 1/4. Then we got to their match, Steen and Generico versus the Wolves of Mayhem 3. Definitely a definite great match. Nothing more here. We got to see this, I believe the third match at this point between these two teams. They faced the 7th anniversary show. I'm trying to think. Yeah, 7th anniversary show. Then or 4th or 5th match actually, because of the H&Net, and then they faced at Motor City Madness as well. So definitely a great match here. Then we got to their match against Kenton, Roderick Strong, Violent Tendencies. Very, very violent, stiff match, and it was awesome. Loved it. 4.5 stars. Then we got to the match between the Briscoes and American Wolves at Final Countdown towards Chicago. Great match. 4 1/4. Oh, no, sorry, just 4. A very cool disqualification match. And then we got to Ladder War 2. Oh, man. I mean, definitely doesn't compare to the first Ladder War. I mean, you can never compare probably another match to the first Ladder War, but, this match was definitely a little more storyline driven, and loved it. 4.5. All right, and then we're going to get to, I'm going to give the overall show 7.25 for ROH Champions versus All-Stars, and then with the bonus disc, it's a buy with the bonus disc, so at least like an 8.5 or so. I mean, whatever. Then we get to Only the Strong Survive. Great show. I'm gonna give it I'll give it about 8.5, 8.25. Yeah, I'll go 8.5 actually. Very good show. Great show even. Opener being the Bravado Brothers versus Cole and O'Reilly. I like this match, but it served its purpose, so I can't complain. I mean, I wish it had gone a little longer, but it served its purpose as the opener. 3 stars. Then we got to Rhett Titus versus Caprice Coleman. I like this showing at a Caprice Coleman here, but I mean, Rhett Titus, just a regular undercard match, 2 1/4 stars, nothing to write home about. But Titus did look good for what he did, and then Caprice Coleman also did. So there's that. We got Colt Cabana versus Grizzly Redwood. Definitely a fun match. I can't complain at all. 2.5 stars. Then we get to Mike Bennett versus Cedric Alexander. Just a decent match. Nothing to write home about. Mike Bennett did look okay here, and then Cedric Alexander, for what he did, looked pretty good. So I'd bring him in again in Charlotte. So 2 stars. Then we get to the World TV title match between Christopher Daniels and Claudio Castagnoli. Very, very good match. A little bit maybe of a botched ending. I couldn't tell, but for what it was very, very good. 3 3/4 stars. Then we got to Steve Corino and Andy Ridge versus Alabama Attitude of Mike Posey and Corey Feldman. It started off with a great Corino promo, and Andy Ridge trying to, adjust from being an opponent to a partner of Steve Corino, which was very, very cool. Then Alabama Attitude, for what they did, looked pretty good. I wouldn't mind bringing them in again as well, 2 1/4. Then we got to Chris Hero versus Davey Richards. Great match. These two have great chemistry. They went out there for a pretty long time and delivered a pretty great match. I really, really liked it. Very entertaining. 4 stars. Then we got to a 4-corner sorrel between Homicide, El Generico, Kenny King, and Mark Briscoe. Another, really, really, really good match. I'm actually be a little higher on this than some other people are, but just a great. I'd call it very good because they all got their stuff in. Mark Briscoe looked good for what he was doing. Kenny King looked good. Homicide looked okay, but for what he did, he looked all right. And then El Generico looked awesome here, so I got to boost this rating a little bit, 3 3/4 stars. And if this is the start of a Homicide heel turn, I like it. He's better than a Homicide face right now, and because Homicide face is kind of not needed in Ring of Honor at the moment, so Homicide as a heel might be needed. So we'll see about that. And then main event of Roderick Strong versus Jay Briscoe for the ROH World Title. Definitely a great match. Jay Briscoe bled a ton. So, and that played in the match greatly. Roderick Strong exploited it, and then there was an awesome table spot. Just a great brawl between these two. 4 1/4 stars, great main event. 8.5 for the show. Can't say enough about it. Go out of your way to buy this. Don't go out of your way to buy it, but it was still a great show. Definitely should pick it up. All right, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching.